The vastness of space stretched out before the Galactic Council, a group of the most powerful and ancient alien species in the galaxy. For millennia, they had governed the stars, watching countless civilizations rise and fall. They were used to being the ones in control, the ones who held the power to shape the fate of the galaxy. And in their eyes, humanity was no different from the countless other primitive species they had encountered. Earth, the blue and green planet that spun lazily in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, was nothing special, just another insignificant world, too young and too weak to pose any real threat. But as the Galactic Council sat in their grand chamber, surrounded by holographic maps of the galaxy, they couldn't have known that they were about to make one of the biggest mistakes in galactic history, a mistake that would cost them dearly. The Council had been debating the future of humanity for years. The human race had grown quickly, making technological strides that were far beyond their early beginnings. But they were still no match for the advanced species that ruled the galaxy. Their ships were crude by galactic standards, their weapons were primitive, and their strategies were laughable. The Council members often scoffed at the human attempts to challenge their power, dismissing their actions as nothing more than the desperate flailing of a species far out of its depth. But what the Galactic Council failed to see was that Earth was hiding something far more dangerous than they could ever imagine. It started on a quiet day. A small human fleet, far from the reach of the Council's watchful eyes, had been assembling in secret. The ships were old, many of them relics from a bygone era, but they were modified. New tech had been integrated into them, technology that the Council had never seen before. It was the kind of tech that, if properly deployed, could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Yet the Galactic Council continued to underestimate the humans. They laughed at the human ships when they saw them on their sensors, thinking them outdated, too weak to even be considered a threat. The Council's laughter echoed across their command room as they discussed the situation. "These humans have no chance," one of the Council members, an alien with silver scales, said with a dismissive wave. "Their ships are old and outdated. We've faced much stronger forces before. This is nothing." Another Council member, a tall, cloaked being with glowing eyes, nodded in agreement. "They're a blip on our radar at best. Let them come. We'll crush them as easily as we have with every other race that thought they could challenge us." And so, the Council went about their business, ignoring the small fleet of human ships gathering in secret. But they were unaware that these ships were only the surface of what was about to come. The fleet had been a decoy. The real weapon, the true force that humanity had been hiding for centuries, was something no one could have predicted. The human race had been preparing in the shadows for far longer than the Galactic Council had ever realized. The humans had built a fleet of ships, not just any ships, but ships equipped with technology that could bend the fabric of space itself. Ships that could move unseen, cloaked from all sensors, slipping through the galaxy undetected. And now, they were ready to reveal themselves. The time had come. The fleet of old ships, the ones the Council had laughed at, vanished. One by one, they slipped into a hidden pocket of space, concealed by technology that was beyond the Council's comprehension. The Council's intelligence network, vast and advanced, could not detect the ships. The humans had cracked the code, built a fleet of stealth ships that could pass through their defenses unnoticed. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council found itself facing something they couldn't understand, something that threatened their very existence. The Council scrambled for answers. The ships had simply disappeared, leaving behind no traces, no signals, nothing to explain their sudden disappearance. The very foundation of the Galactic Council's understanding of the universe was being shaken to its core. "We have to find them," said the silver-scaled Council member, his voice now tinged with worry. "These humans, they'd done something we can't comprehend. Where did they go?" One by one, the Council members turned to their vast array of intelligence networks, trying to locate the missing fleet. But it was as if the human ships had vanished into thin air. The search was futile. For the first time in galactic history, The most powerful beings in the universe were outmatched by a species they had once laughed at. The Council realized too late that they had underestimated the human race. The stealth technology, the cloaking devices, the hidden fleet, they were all part of a long-held secret. Humans were not the weak, unworthy species the Council had assumed. They had been hiding their strength for centuries, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The first part of the story ends on a note of suspense, as the Galactic Council finds itself on the brink of an unknown threat. The fleet of human ships, once thought to be a joke, has vanished, leaving the Council in chaos. The true power of humanity has been revealed, and the Galactic Council is left to face the consequences of their arrogance. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Across the vast chambers, alien leaders of unimaginable power and ancient wisdom convened, their voices echoing in frantic discussions. The disappearance of the human fleet had left them rattled, something they never expected. For centuries, they had been the undisputed rulers of the galaxy. Nothing ever slipped through their grasp until now. But as each passing moment went by, the fear only grew, for the Council knew that they had made a grave error, one that would come back to haunt them. "Where are they?" demanded a member, a being with translucent skin that shimmered like liquid crystal. "We cannot afford to underestimate them any longer. The humans must be found." Another Council member, a hulking figure with multiple limbs, stood with a grim expression. "The fleet has vanished. Every last trace has disappeared from our systems. Our best scouts can't find a single sign of them. What are we dealing with here?" The panic was palpable. The calm, controlled arrogance that had defined the Council was slipping away, replaced by uncertainty and fear. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Earth remained silent, hidden behind layers of protective technology. The humans knew that revealing their secret fleet would not come without consequences. The Galactic Council had mocked them, dismissed their potential, and now, the time had come for humanity to make its stand. But the fleet wasn't making any moves yet. It was simply waiting. Waiting for the next step. Waiting for the Council to make their first move. Humanity had nothing to prove. They had been underestimated for too long, and now, the ball was in their court. Commander James Carter stood on the bridge of the human flagship, his hand steady as he watched the vast expanse of space unfold before him. The ship was a marvel of human ingenuity, sleek and powerful, its dark surface nearly invisible against the backdrop of the star-studded void. This ship, along with a fleet of similar vessels, had been humanity's final secret, and now that it had been revealed, the Council had no idea what was coming. "Are we ready, Commander?" asked Lieutenant Maria Anders, her voice low but filled with anticipation. Carter turned to her with a determined look. "We've waited long enough. The Council has crossed a line, and now it's time for them to see what we've been hiding. We're not going to let them get away with this." Maria nodded in agreement, the weight of their mission clear in her eyes. This wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a message to the entire galaxy that humanity had a power far beyond what the Council had imagined. Back on the Council's homeworld, leaders gathered for a closed meeting, their faces tense as they stared at the maps and projections before them. They could feel it now, the presence of something unknown, something dangerous, lurking just beyond their reach. Their most advanced sensors and scouts had scored the surrounding systems, yet nothing could be found. The human ships had simply vanished. One of the Council members, an ancient being with skin that appeared to be made of dark stone, leaned forward and spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "What if we're not dealing with just a fleet? What if the humans have something else, something we can't track? They've always been resourceful, but we've never faced anything like this." His words hung heavy in the air. The Council was used to facing great enemies, warriors, conquerors, ancient species with vast fleets of their own. But the humans were different. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and now, they were armed with the very thing that could topple the Council's reign: secrecy. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Council was being forced to question everything it knew. If the humans could hide their fleet like this, What else were they capable of? Could there be more hidden surprises lurking in the darkness of space? The Council's superiority was being challenged in ways they hadn't prepared for. The room grew quiet as each member realized the gravity of the situation. The humans were no longer the joke they had once been. They had evolved into a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, Commander Carter was already giving orders to move the fleet. The next phase of their plan was set into motion. Every ship was ready. Every weapon was primed. And the galaxy would soon learn that humanity had not just survived. They had adapted and evolved into something far more dangerous than anyone could have anticipated. "We will show them who we really are," Carter muttered under his breath. "And they will never forget this day." The fleet moved silently into position, cloaked and invisible to every sensor in the galaxy. The humans were ready to strike, and they were prepared to send a clear message. The Galactic Council had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. As the scene closed, the question lingered in the air. What would the Council do next? Would they retaliate, or would they recognize the new reality that humanity had become a power to be reckoned with? The answers were coming, but no one knew just how soon. The silence on the Galactic Council's capital planet was deafening. The vast, gleaming citadels of the Council stood in the midst of an eerie quiet, a stark contrast to the urgency of the ongoing meetings. The once confident Council members, known for their intimidating presence and strategic minds, had now turned on each other in frustration. "We need to find them," said Councillor Thresh, a tall, humanoid figure with pale green skin, his voice trembling with the slightest trace of fear. "If the humans are capable of hiding entire fleets from us, what else could they be hiding? Do they have more advanced technologies we haven't discovered?" Councillor Zorka, whose head was a mass of shifting crystalline structures, voiced a harsh rebuttal. "The humans have always been unpredictable. This is no different. But we still have our superior fleet, our technology. We need to flush them out. I will not allow this level of humiliation to stand." But Thresh wasn't convinced. "Your arrogance will be your undoing. They have been quiet for centuries, waiting. And now, they've shown us that they are more than we could have ever imagined. We must understand how they pulled this off before we engage them." The Councillor's eyes narrowed in frustration. "We are the most powerful entity in the galaxy. We've crushed entire civilizations, expanded our reach across the stars for millennia. A few human ships won't stand in our way." But Zorka couldn't ignore the nagging feeling of unease that had settled in his chest. His thoughts were interrupted by the sudden flashing lights that filled the chamber. A transmission had arrived. The message was brief, chillingly simple, and the font flickered on the screen before them. "We are watching. Make no mistake." The room grew heavy with tension. No one spoke for several long seconds. It was a chilling message, one that carried an unmistakable weight of warning. Who had sent it? And why were they so bold, so sure of themselves? Councillor Thresh took a deep breath, tapping his fingers on the armrest of his chair as his mind raced. This was beyond any diplomatic message they'd ever received. There were no threats of retaliation, just a cold, sharp warning. "We are watching." The implications were terrifying. Whoever had sent this message, whoever controlled the humans' hidden fleet, was not afraid of the Galactic Council. In fact, it seemed like the humans were daring them to make a move. They were not just warning them, they were sending a statement, and Thresh knew the gravity of the situation. As he looked around the room, he realized that the Council's arrogance had pushed them to overlook the simplest truth. They had underestimated humanity. Now they had no idea what would come next. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, in the human fleet's cloaked flagship, Commander James Carter stood on the bridge, gazing out into the abyss of space. The tension had been building for days as the fleet silently waited for any signs of movement from the Galactic Council. He knew what they were up against. The Council might have once been the dominant power in the galaxy, but humanity was different. Human ingenuity and resilience had always been the driving forces behind their success, and now it was their greatest weapon. "Commander, Lieutenant Maria Anders spoke from behind him, her voice soft but firm. "We've received a response from the Council. It's a warning message, but they don't realize that the only warning that matters is the one we just sent them." Carter turned to face her, his expression calm, though there was a sharp glint in his eyes. "It's time we make them understand exactly what they're dealing with. Humanity doesn't bow. We don't run. We fight back." And with that, the first phase of the plan was set into motion. The flagship, along with the rest of the fleet, remained hidden, undetectable by the Council's advanced sensors. But beneath the surface, a sophisticated chain of events was triggered. Human ships, quiet, efficient, and deadly, began to prepare for their counterattack. The galaxy was about to witness what would happen when humanity decided to stand its ground. "We've waited long enough," Carter said, his voice a low growl. "Let's show them who we really are." As the fleet moved silently into position, their ships cloaked and ready for action, the message to the Council was clear. Humanity had finally revealed its true power. The days of underestimating humans were over. The Council had made the mistake of mocking them, and now they would pay the price. The clock was ticking. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming, and by the time they realized their mistake, it would be too late. The Galactic Council's deliberations were frantic. Each member of the Council had their own theories about the humans and their newfound power. Some argued that the humans had simply learned to hide their fleets better, while others believed that their technology had somehow surpassed that of the Council. Enough with the theorizing. Councilor Zorka snapped, his crystalline body shifting in irritation. "We've wasted enough time on speculation. We need action, and we need it now." Councilor Thresh's voice was steady, but it carried the weight of his growing frustration. "We can't act recklessly. We don't know what we're up against, and if we don't handle this carefully, it could be our undoing." The rest of the Council exchanged uneasy glances. The situation had become more complicated than they had imagined. They had never taken humanity seriously. They had seen humans as primitive, a species of no consequence. But now, after the message, the silence, and the inexplicable disappearance of their ships, the Council realized just how deeply they had underestimated Earth's inhabitants. But Zorka wasn't one for caution. "We cannot let them think they can challenge us," he insisted. "We have already made our move. We've assembled our fleet. If the humans are hiding something, we'll make them reveal it, one way or another." The Council's combined fleet, one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, was ready for deployment. Their ships, equipped with advanced weaponry and shield systems, had already entered the region where Earth's fleet had last been seen. But the longer they searched, the more frustrated they became. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Commander Carter and his crew watched the Council's movements closely, knowing the time for waiting was over. The hidden fleet, now fully prepared, was waiting in silence. The technological marvels of the human race were about to be put to the test. They had been building and improving their fleet in secret for centuries, keeping it hidden from the eyes of the Council. But no longer. It was time to make their presence known. Commander Carter stood in front of the holographic map that displayed the Council's fleet positions, his face calm but resolute. "They're making their move. They think they have us cornered," he said, turning to his team. "But they don't know what's coming." The bridge was filled with quiet determination as the crew moved into position. The human fleet remained cloaked, hidden deep within a vast asteroid field, its advanced stealth technology making them virtually undetectable by enemy sensors. Earth's hidden fleet, which had once been nothing more than a myth, was now ready to reveal itself in full force. "We have a window," Lieutenant Maria Anders spoke, her voice steady as she scanned the fleet's movements. "They've moved into range. We can launch our first strike now." Commander Carter nodded. "Do it." The orders were given, and the human ships silently powered up their weapons. The fleet was about to show the Galactic Council what they were truly capable of. One by one, the ships decloaked, revealing their true power. The once hidden human fleet, armed with weapons that outclassed anything the Council had ever seen, emerged from the shadows like a predator stalking its prey. The first strike was swift. Energy weapons lit up the darkness of space, striking at the Council's ships with pinpoint precision. The Council's fleet, unprepared for the ferocity of the attack, was thrown into disarray. Their ships, once thought to be invincible, were now struggling to defend themselves against an enemy they had never anticipated. What? How are they doing this? Counselor Thresh whispered in disbelief, watching as the ships they had mocked were now tearing through their defenses with ease. Zorka's face, once filled with arrogance, now twisted into an expression of shock and anger. Impossible. They're using technology we've never seen before. This isn't just a few hidden ships. This is a full-fledged fleet. The humans, now fully revealed, were relentless. Each strike was calculated, designed to disarm the Council and cripple their forces. The once mighty fleet of the Galactic Council was being torn apart by the humans' advanced technology, their ships unable to keep up with the speed and precision of Earth's hidden fleet. Activate countermeasures, Zorka bellowed. We can't let them get the upper hand. But it was already too late. The Council's fleet, already vulnerable from underestimating their enemy, was falling apart under the assault. Human ships weaved through enemy fire, taking out key targets with surgical strikes. Back on the bridge of the flagship, Commander Carter's eyes gleamed with cold determination. This is just the beginning. We're not here to fight a war. We're here to send a message. As Earth's fleet continued its devastating assault, the Galactic Council realized too late that their previous mockery of humanity had been their greatest mistake. They had believed they could crush the humans without a second thought. But now, they were experiencing firsthand what it meant to underestimate the species they had once dismissed as weak. The humans weren't just defending their home. They were proving that no one, not even the most powerful forces in the galaxy, could push them around. And they would stop at nothing to ensure that the galaxy would never forget who humanity truly was. The battle raged on, but one thing was clear. The Galactic Council would never view humanity the same way again. The quiet power of Earth's fleet had been unleashed, and the entire galaxy would soon learn just how wrong they had been about the human race. The once proud Galactic Council was now in chaos. Their fleet, once the symbol of unparalleled power, was crumbling under the relentless assault of Earth's hidden armada. The Council had never known defeat like this, and the truth had never been clearer. They had underestimated humanity. Status report. Zorka demanded, his voice sharp and full of frustration as he watched another one of his fleet's warships explode in the distance. Sir, we've lost contact with several of our ships. Our shields are failing, and our weapons systems aren't keeping up with their speed. A trembling officer reported. His eyes darted nervously between his console and the ongoing destruction of their ships. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. They're adapting. The human ships are moving faster than we can track, and they're hitting us with pinpoint precision. We can't seem to stop them. Zorka gritted his teeth, his mind racing. Every tactic they had relied on in countless battles across the galaxy had failed them here. Earth's hidden fleet was unlike anything they had imagined, and each passing moment added to their growing horror. These humans, whom they had so carelessly mocked, were now turning the tide of the battle. The Council's arrogant assumptions were rapidly being proven wrong. Send a message to the rest of the fleet, Zorka barked. We need reinforcements. Immediately. Back on Earth, Commander Carter stood tall, his face illuminated by the cold light of the command center. His crew moved with precision, reacting to every new development. They knew the Council was strong, but they also knew something even more important. They had something the Council could never understand. They were fighting for their survival. And nothing was more dangerous than a species fighting for its home. We've got them on the run, Carter said, his voice steady as he looked over the tactical display. But we can't let up. This isn't just about winning a battle. We need to send a message to the entire galaxy. Lieutenant Maria Anders, his second in command, nodded in agreement. They'll regroup soon if we give them the chance. We hit them hard, but we need to finish this. We need to show them that humanity will never be pushed around again. Prepare the final strike, Carter ordered. The human fleet, now fully revealed, maneuvered with uncanny precision. Their ships moved as though they were a single entity, coordinating their movements in a way that the Galactic Council's fleet couldn't hope to match. Each attack was a calculated blow, weakening the Council's forces piece by piece. The battle had shifted. The Council, who had once laughed at the prospect of humans challenging them, were now scrambling to protect what little remained of their fleet. The truth was undeniable. The humans weren't just defending their home. They were attacking with purpose. They had a plan. And that plan was about to reach its apex. As Carter watched the progress of the battle unfold, a slow smile spread across his face. He knew that the Galactic Council had underestimated their enemy, but he also knew that their underestimation wasn't the only factor that had led to their current demise. Earth's fleet was operating with technology far beyond what the Council had ever imagined. But it wasn't just the technology. It was something deeper. The humans had a will to survive that couldn't be broken. They had been pushed into the corner for too long, and now they were ready to fight back in ways the galaxy would never forget. Carter turned toward the communications officer. Tell the fleet to prepare the decoy operation. It's time we finish this. Understood, sir. The decoy plan had been a last resort measure, an operation designed to confuse and overwhelm the remaining Council forces. Earth's fleet, using its advanced stealth technology, would simulate a retreat, drawing the remaining Council ships into a false position. Once the Council was deep within the trap, the true power of Earth's fleet would be unleashed, overwhelming them in one final decisive blow. It was a high-risk strategy, but if it succeeded, it would shatter the Council's ability to respond to any future human actions. The battle for Earth's survival was now reaching its critical point. In the chaos of battle, as the Galactic Council's forces scrambled to respond to the unexpected strike, they failed to notice the subtle shift. The Earth fleet, using the decoy operation, began to withdraw slowly, luring the remaining Council ships deeper into the heart of the trap. Just a little longer, Carter muttered under his breath as he watched the final stages of the plan fall into place. The Council was moving right where he wanted them. It would only take one final move to put them out of commission for good. Then it happened. The Earth fleet, seemingly retreating, suddenly swung into action. The stealth ships that had been acting as decoys vanished, revealing themselves in a coordinated strike that caught the Council's remaining ships off guard. The sheer force of the surprise attack was devastating. The Galactic Council had no chance of defending itself against such a precise and powerful offensive. The battlefield was soon littered with the debris of destroyed ships, and the Council's forces had been decimated. Zorka stood on the bridge of his flagship, his mind in turmoil. His once imposing fleet had been destroyed in mere hours, all thanks to the humans. He had never anticipated such a swift and ruthless response. We have lost," Zorka whispered, staring at the remnants of his fleet. It was over. The Galactic Council, for all its power and arrogance, had been outmatched by the very species they had once dismissed as insignificant. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the victory was sealed. The message had been sent loud and clear. The humans were no longer the prey. They were the predators, and the galaxy would soon know what it meant to face the wrath of a united humanity. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake in underestimating the power of Earth. But now, there was no going back. The stage had been set for a new era in the galaxy, one where humans were no longer to be ignored. The silence that followed the battle was deafening. The remnants of the Galactic Council's once proud fleet floated aimlessly in the cold void of space, debris scattered across the battlefield. What had started as a ruthless assault by the Council had ended in complete and utter defeat. The aftermath was not only a victory for humanity, but a powerful message to the galaxy. Earth was no longer to be underestimated. Commander Carter sat back in his chair, staring at the screen in front of him. He could see the remains of the enemy ships, their once formidable weapons and shields reduced to wreckage. His breath slowed as the adrenaline from the battle began to fade, replaced by the overwhelming weight of what they had just accomplished. "We did it," Lieutenant Maria Anders said softly from her station beside him, her voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and relief. "We actually won." Carter nodded, but his mind was already racing. The victory was crucial, yes, but it was just the beginning. The Galactic Council may have been crushed, but other powers in the galaxy would take note of what had happened. Humanity had shown the galaxy its strength, but now they would need to prepare for the inevitable consequences. "We've sent them a message, Maria," Carter replied, his voice steady but serious. "But the war isn't over. There are still plenty of others out there who will want to avenge the Council's loss, and they won't make the same mistake of underestimating us." On the bridge of Earth's flagship, the crew buzzed with excitement and relief. They had won a battle that no one had expected them to win. But in the midst of their celebration, a quiet tension settled in. The war was far from over. The victory was sweet, but it would take more than one battle to ensure Earth's place in the galaxy. "Commander Carter," a voice interrupted his thoughts. It was the communications officer, her face filled with concern. "We've received an encrypted message from a fleet in the Outer Rim. They claim to represent several galactic factions. They want to discuss terms of surrender." Carter's heart skipped a beat. The words "terms of surrender" were a welcome surprise, but they also posed new questions. Who were these factions? What did they want? And most importantly, what did this mean for Earth's future? "Put it through," Carter ordered, his voice calm yet firm. The screen flickered to life, and a holographic figure appeared before him. It was a tall, imposing alien, draped in the robes of a high-ranking official. His skin was a deep shade of violet, and his eyes glowed with an eerie light. "I am Iraq, leader of the Coalition of Galaxies," the alien said, his voice smooth and commanding. "We have been watching your actions, Commander. The fall of the Galactic Council was unexpected, and we now realize the folly of underestimating your species." Carter crossed his arms, his expression unreadable. He knew this wasn't just a message of surrender. There was more to it, and he had to be careful. "What do you want, Iraq?" he asked bluntly. The alien leader gave a slight nod, as if expecting the question. "What we want is peace," he said slowly. "We recognize your power now. The Coalition seeks to avoid further conflict, and we wish to establish new terms of engagement between our factions. We offer you an alliance, Commander, a chance to shape the future of this galaxy." The offer hung in the air, heavy and loaded with implications. Carter knew this was a rare opportunity. An alliance with the Coalition could mean unprecedented power for humanity. But what did the Coalition expect in return? Was this truly a peace offering, or was it a calculated move to control Earth from the shadows? "Why should we trust you?" Carter asked, his voice cold. "After what the Galactic Council did, you think we'd just let our guard down?" Nirak's eyes flickered with what could almost be interpreted as amusement. "You misunderstand, Commander. We do not wish to control Earth. We wish to work alongside you, as equals. The Council's failure has taught us all a valuable lesson, that no species, not even the most powerful, is invincible. Your human spirit is unlike any we've encountered, and it is why we seek this alliance." Carter's thoughts raced. This was a moment of great power, a chance to change the course of human history. But could humanity truly trust these galactic factions? The question of whether Earth should stand alone or join forces with other galactic powers loomed large. "I need time to consider your offer, Iraq," Carter said, keeping his voice even. "I'll let you know our decision soon. But know this, we will never be anyone's pawn. Not now, not ever." The alien leader inclined his head, his expression unreadable. "I understand, Commander. We will await your response. Until then, peace." With that, The transmission ended, and the room fell into silence. The crew exchanged looks, unsure of what to make of the encounter. An alliance with the Coalition could be the key to humanity's future, but it could also come with unseen dangers. Carter leaned back in his chair, his mind a whirlwind of possibilities. He had led Earth to victory, but now the future was more uncertain than ever. Allies were being offered, but trust was not something easily given, especially not after the destruction of the Galactic Council. "Prepare for a council meeting," Carter finally said, his voice firm. "We have decisions to make, and this time, we need to think carefully." The quiet hum of the command center was a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere that now gripped Earth's leadership. Commander Carter stood in front of a holographic table, surrounded by his most trusted officers. The room, once full of excitement and pride from their victory over the Galactic Council, now felt heavy, burdened by the gravity of the decision they were about to make. The message from Iraq, the leader of the Coalition of Galaxies, still echoed in Carter's mind. An alliance, a chance to reshape the future. But was it truly an opportunity? Or was it a trap, a calculated move to draw Earth into the web of galactic politics and power struggles? "We can't just jump into this blindly," Carter said, his voice commanding but filled with uncertainty. "This is a decision that could change everything for us. We've never been part of galactic politics before. Do we want to risk getting involved with factions we know nothing about?" Lieutenant Maria Anders, the ship's second-in-command, spoke up. "I understand your concerns, Commander. But think about it. We've just taken down the Galactic Council, an empire that controlled a vast portion of the galaxy. The power vacuum they left behind could lead to chaos, and we could be the ones to guide it. We could shape the new order, become a force that even the strongest factions will respect. And what happens when they come for us after we've weakened them?" Captain Michael Rivera added, his voice steady but tinged with caution. "We have to ask ourselves what the Coalition really wants. An alliance could give us a chance to rise, but it could also make us targets. If we're not careful, we could end up like the Galactic Council, lost in the struggles of a much larger game." The room fell silent as Carter weighed the words of his officers. They had fought hard for their victory, but now, in the face of the unknown, fear and uncertainty began to creep in. There was no clear answer. There were no guarantees. "We need more information," Carter said finally, breaking the silence. "We can't make this decision without knowing the full extent of what's out there. We'll send scouts to the Outer Rim, check on these galactic factions, and see what kind of power we're really dealing with. We'll keep a low profile, no more shows of force. We need to know if we can trust these factions before we make any moves." "But what if the Coalition is our best shot?" Anders asked, her voice softer now. "What if we could unite the galaxy under a new banner, one of peace and cooperation, with us at the helm?" Carter's gaze hardened. "We're not here to become rulers of the galaxy, Maria. We're here to protect Earth. That's our mission. We don't need to conquer the stars. We need to make sure humanity survives. But if that means making alliances to safeguard our future, then we'll do it, but only on our terms." The room remained quiet, each person processing the decision that lay ahead. Carter knew that whatever they chose, it would set the course for humanity's future. The power to shape the galaxy was in their hands, but so was the danger of being drawn into something they couldn't control. "Prepare the scout ships," Carter ordered, his voice calm but resolute. "We leave at dawn. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with before we make any decisions." As the officers nodded and moved to carry out their orders, Carter couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something much larger than they could fully comprehend. The universe was vast, filled with untold dangers, and now humanity was no longer a small, insignificant player. They had shown their strength, but would they be able to survive the challenges that awaited them? The stars outside the command center seemed to twinkle with possibilities, but Carter knew that in the cold emptiness of space, there was no room for hesitation. Every choice they made could mean the difference between survival and extinction. "Let's make sure we're ready for whatever comes next," he said, more to himself than to anyone else. The weight of the future rested on their shoulders. As the crew dispersed, preparing for the next steps, Carter couldn't help but wonder, what would the galaxy look like once humanity stepped into the spotlight? And would the galaxy be ready for them?